Hola amigos, this is Angela. Welcome to Spanish Lessons for Me. In this channel, my objective is to give you tools and practice so that you can improve your Spanish. So if that's what you're trying to do, you're in the right channel. In this video, we will be learning about ser and estar, the verb to be in Spanish. Ser and estar are not interchangeable. So sometimes you might get confused as to when do I use each one. I will be giving you the rules, some rules to make it easier for you to say when to use ser versus when to use estar. Before we go on, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I've been working on this project and we have been steadily growing the channel with your help. So please know I appreciate you. And if you haven't yet, please go ahead and click on subscribe. It helps me to grow the channel. It helps when you click on the like video, and also don't forget to click on the notification bell. That way you can receive notifications when I post a new video. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and start with ser versus estar. ¿Cuándo usamos ser y cuándo usamos estar? Hoy aprenderás las reglas para saber cuándo usar cada uno. Let's start. Sin más, empecemos. Vamos a aprender o repasar la conjugación. Estar. Yo estoy. Tú estás. Él está. Ella está. Usted está. Nosotros estamos. Vosotros estáis. Ellos están. Ustedes están. Next, I am going to repeat estar, but this time I will leave out the subject pronouns. Repeat after me. Repite después de mí. Estoy. Estás. Está. Estamos. Estáis. Están. Let's go with ser. Yo soy. Tú eres. Él es. Ella es. Usted es. Nosotros somos. Vosotros sois. Ellos son. Ustedes son. Let's repeat it without the subject pronouns. ¿Listos? Ready? Soy. Eres. Es. Somos. Sois. Son. At this point, if you don't know the conjugations by heart, go ahead and stop, pause the video, and take a couple of minutes to learn it by heart, to the point where if I ask you to say the entire conjugation, you're able to do that. And then play the video again. So when do I use estar and when do I use ser? We can equate estar with a state. Number one, we use it to express the state of being of a person or things as well. When we talk about the state of a person, we are talking about how that person is feeling today. So it could be physical state, it could be emotional state. So we're talking about health, emotions, just in general how a person is feeling. So for instance, if I ask somebody, how are you? ¿Cómo estás? In that case, I'm asking about the state that they find themselves in. Are they happy? Are they well? Are they depressed? And so on. I could also ask about a thing. For example, ¿cómo está la puerta? In that case, I'm not asking about the feelings or the well-being of the door, I am asking about what condition is it in. Is it open? Is it closed? ¿Cómo está la puerta? Está abierta, está cerrada. Por ejemplo, estoy contenta. That means I am content, I'm happy. Estoy cansado. I am tired. And as you can tell, the first one says estoy contenta. Contenta ends with A, and that is because I am a female. If I were a male, I would say estoy contento. The next example says estoy cansado, and that's because I wanted to let you know that we need to make sure that the adjective agrees in gender and number with the subject of the sentence. Here's an example of a condition of a thing. For example, mi auto está ordenado. My car is organized or orderly. The second rule is we use estar for the present progressive tense. So, for example, present progressive in English would be when we use the ing at the end of a verb. So, for example, if I say, I am speaking. So if you notice, in English, we also use the verb to be, I am, and in the second verb, we add the ing. I am speaking. In Spanish, we use estar. Yo estoy hablando. I have another video that explains all the rules for present progressive. If you haven't watched it yet, make sure that at the end of the video, you go and watch that if you need a refresher on present progressive. Here are a couple of examples. Elena está cantando. Adriana está comiendo. We use the present progressive to express something that is happening right now. It's in progress. Hoy está lloviendo. Today it's raining. Finally, we can use estar for expressing the location of a person, a thing, a city, or we could also say expressing spatial relationships, where something is in space. For example, ¿dónde está la computadora? Where is the computer? The computer is on the table. La computadora está en la mesa. We're using estar for that. Ejemplo, mi mochila está en mi casa. My backpack is at home. El estadio está en el centro. The stadium is downtown. Papá está en el trabajo. Dad is at work. So to recap, we use estar to express a state of being. When we talk about people's state, we're talking about their well-being, their health, their emotional state. And when we talk about things, we talk about conditions. We use estar for present progressive, and we use estar for expressing location or spatial relationships. Let's move on to ser. We use ser to talk about someone's identity. When we talk about someone's identity, we talk about, usually when we're talking about ourselves, we talk about our profession, where we're from, our personality, things that make up our identity. Those are things that usually don't change. For example, if I'm an optimistic person, that's a characteristic or a trait of my personality. And to express those characteristics, those traits, we are going to use ser. Let me give you some examples. Ejemplo, Lily, the name of a girl. Lily es generosa y es idealista. These two are traits of her personality. Those traits are part of her being. They're not a state. She's not feeling generous today. She's not feeling idealist today. That's how she is. If someone were to ask me, hey, can you describe your friend Lily? I would say she's generous and idealist. And that's how she is all the time. So therefore, I use ser. Miriam es de Chile. Miriam is from Chile. Again, we're talking about someone's identity. And the next one as well is profesora. So origin or occupation or profession, we use ser. What about things? Well, when we talk about things, we don't talk about their identity, but their definition. But it's still, we're kind of like describing a thing's quote unquote identity. For example, ¿qué es? Es un chip para la computadora. What is it? It's a chip for the computer. So, definitions of things. Son las 5. It's 5. We are identifying, again, identity, the time. Right now it's 5 p.m. Hoy es el 23 de abril. Today is the 23rd of April. So we're identifying what day we're in. What something is made of. Again, this is a trait of a thing, a characteristic. And that's why we use ser. La mesa es de madera sólida. The table is made of solid wood. Another thing we use ser for is possession. La mochila es de Travis. So in Spanish, as you know, we don't have apostrophe s to express that something belongs to someone. So we couldn't say, this is Travis's backpack. Instead, we use ser de. That's why here it says, la mochila es de Travis. Es la maleta de Tomás. Lastly, we use ser to express when or where an event occurs. I am emphasizing an event. Okay? So when we're talking about when or where an event occurs, then we use ser. Because if you look at the other column, we were talking about the location or spatial relationships. That's when we're identifying where something, whether it be a building, a thing, an object, is located in space, or a person. But in this case, we use ser when we're talking about an event, when it occurs or where it occurs. Ejemplo, el concierto es en el estadio. Es, not está, es. We use ser. La clase, that would be the event, es en el salón 107. Is at the classroom 107. Okay, now let's talk about exceptions. The following words that I will teach you change the meaning depending on whether you use them with ser or with estar. Ejemplo, mi perro es muy listo. I'm using it with es, so therefore listo is a characteristic or a trait of my dog. Smart. However, if I use it with estar, it changed the meaning. It means ready, which sometimes I will say to you, ¿están listos? And that means, are you ready? Por ejemplo, los scouts siempre están listos. Vivo is another one of those words. If I use it with ser, that means that he is clever. Mi perro es muy vivo. And if I use it with estar, it means alive. La gallina está viva. Bellatrix es muy mala. If I use it with es, I'm talking about a characteristic of this character's personality, and she is mean, so I use it with ser. If I use it with estar, then that means that she is feeling unwell, she is sick. Por ejemplo, la profesora está mala. Verde, the color. Estas manzanas son verdes. I am describing these apples. A characteristic of the apples is their color. Las manzanas son verdes. If I use it with estar, las bananas están verdes, then that means the bananas are unripe. Okay, To recap, we use estar to express a state for the present progressive and location or spatial relationships. We use ser for identity possession and when or where an event occurs. Lastly, by now, hopefully you already know the conjugation. If you don't know it yet, go ahead and pause and learn it. Be able to write it down, be able to say it out loud in this order without looking at your notes. And if you're able to do that, then congratulations, because ser and estar are very widely used in the Spanish language. As you will see in the next readings, I created some passages for you, some paragraphs, and you'll see how much I'm able to use ser and estar. Let's go ahead and move on. Hola, Arturo. Es una nota. This is a note that somebody left, a person. Es el 1 de octubre. Son las 4 de la tarde. Estoy aquí en tu casa, pero no estás aquí. No contestaste a mis textos. ¿Estás enojado? ¿O estás bebiendo y por eso no contestas? Soy paciente y comprensiva, pero no soy tonta. Estoy esperando que llegues, pero no te veo, así que me voy. Ahora yo estoy enojada, porque eres muy desconsiderado. Adiós. All right, so let's go ahead and analyze it. The first one that I have with the red box es el 1 de octubre, son las 4 de la tarde. Identity. I am identifying what time it is, what day it is. Estoy aquí en tu casa. Spatial relationship, location. Pero no estás aquí. You're not here. Location. ¿Estás enojado? State. This is well-being. Emotional state. ¿Estás enojado? ¿O estás bebiendo? Or are you drinking? That is present progressive. Soy paciente y comprensiva, pero no soy tonta. Here we're using ser because we're talking about a person's traits, characteristics of her personality, so part of her identity. Estoy esperando, present progressive, I am waiting. Estoy enojada, back to estar because we're talking about an emotional state. Eres muy desconsiderado. Now we're not talking about a state, we're talking about a trait, a personality trait. She is telling Arturo, this is how you are, this is your identity, this is your trait. And that's why she is using ser. All right, let's move on. This is an ad for someone who's looking for a roommate. Busco compañero de apartamento. Soy estudiante de doctorado. Soy organizada, calmada y amable. Mi compañera ideal es una persona como yo, tranquila y estudiosa. El apartamento está cerca de la universidad. Las habitaciones del apartamento son bonitas y los closets son amplios. El alquiler es razonable. Los vecinos son simpáticos y son estudiantes también. Si estás buscando un apartamento genial y estás cansada de buscar, no busques más. Este es el apartamento ideal para ti. So if you take a look at the instances where this person used ser, in most of the instances, she is using ser to express the traits or the characteristics of a person or a thing. Por ejemplo, soy estudiante, soy organizada. Mi compañera ideal es una persona como yo. Las habitaciones del apartamento son bonitas. Los closets son amplios. Los vecinos son simpáticos y son estudiantes. Este es el apartamento ideal para ti. So as you can see, she's using ser to express a person's identity or traits or a thing's characteristics, like the closets. Los closets son amplios. Now, when do we use estar? El apartamento está cerca de la universidad. Spatial relationship. She's talking about the location of the apartment. Estás buscando. Present progressive. Y estás cansada. Well-being, somebody's emotional state. All right, let's move on to the next example. Soy maestra de kinder. Ser maestra de kinder es fabuloso. Los niños pequeños son muy cariñosos y cómicos. A veces son demasiado honestos. Mi clase es grande y llena de luz. En la clase tenemos un conejito. El conejo es blanco y marrón. Está generalmente en su casita. Su casa es de madera y tiene muebles de juguete. En la tarde, el conejo está en el jardín, excepto cuando está lloviendo. Estoy haciendo una casa para afuera, para el conejo. To recap, we use estar to express the state or well-being or conditions. We use it for present progressive and for the location of a person, place, thing. And then we use ser for identity, possession, and when or where an event occurs. If you learned anything new, please go ahead and give me a like. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and please subscribe. Muchas gracias por escuchar. Thank you so much for listening. Y nos vemos en el próximo video. Hasta la próxima. Until next time. Adiós, amigos.